Today, we have the pleasure of hosting a remarkable defender who embodies resilience, skill, and longevity, Adrian Mariappa. Adrian's career spans an impressive 18 years, a testament to his dedication, discipline, and unyielding passion for the game. But what truly sets him apart is his remarkable journey across some of the toughest leagues in the world. With 222 championship games and 168 Premier League games under his belt, Adrian has faced the fiercest of opponents, including footballing giants like Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Beyond the club level, Adrian has proudly earned 72 caps for Jamaica, showcasing his leadership and experience on the international stage. Join us as we sit down with Adrian Mariappa to explore his illustrious career, hear his stories from the pitch, and gain insights into what it takes to achieve such longevity in professional football.
Guys and girls, welcome back to the How to Become a Pro Footballer podcast, episode 116, joined by a special guest, Adrian Mariappa. You're going to hear how much of a career this guy has had, and I think we're going to start off by saying this guy just resembles longevity, hard work, and smart work. So a lot of you young listeners, a lot of you young viewers are going to learn a lot here. And I look forward to diving into your journey. So if you could just introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, current position, and where you're currently playing.
Yeah, Adrian Mariappa, current position centre back, 37 years old. Been a pro for, what's that now? 18, 19 years now. So, a long time. Played for various clubs through the various leagues. I've played all the way through the English leagues now. From Harrow originally, and end up, my boyhood club is Watford, and that's where I started my career.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, so just some quick stats so you guys could see. 511 pro games in the league, 72 games internationally. And 18 years as a pro, 222 championship games, 4 goals, 4 assists, 168 Prem games, 2 goals, 1 assist, 23 games in League Two, 19 games in the A-League, and then 18 games in League One. So if you could just, take us back. When did you start playing the game? How'd you get into it?
I was 6 years old, just started playing at school, pretty much as everyone does. And we had a local team, which most of the boys in my school played for. Ended up just going down there, and it's called St. Joseph's, just my local team, and that's where my football journey started, really. And just enjoyed playing football as a kid, as everyone does. Used to love the school tournaments in the summer, etc., and stuff like that. So, and then I ended up going to a different Sunday team called Parkfield, and that's where it became a little bit more competitive. We had players that were also at Watford. I got scouted playing for St. Joseph's, went to, that's how I started playing for Watford. And then, just ended up in a team which had boys playing for like Watford, Chelsea, West Ham, stuff like that. And it became a little bit more competitive. That was about 10 years old. I was playing for Watford from 8 years old. It became an academy at 11. So that was me full-time at Watford from 11 years old.
Wow. Yeah, so did you have any inspiration growing up? Any players you were inspired by or looked up to?
Oh yeah, definitely. The biggest one when I was growing up, Eric Cantona.
Okay.
That was my guy, Eric Cantona. And so I was number 7, believe it or not, as a kid. My goal scoring stats aren't doing me any justice as a kid, but so just love it. Just the flair he played with. He used to always play my collar up. So he was my first footballing idol, definitely. And Paul Ince as well. I think because I was a midfielder back then as well, so I always looked at obviously like midfielders who inspired me. But definitely Eric Cantona, Paul Ince, just the way he used to play for England, and proper leader as well. So they were my first 2 big inspirations, I'd say.
Yeah, two great guys, two great ballers. Cantona is a savage, huh?
Some player, man. He's one of the. I think he doesn't get mentioned enough in the Premier League greats, but for me, he's right up there.
He actually came over to New York Cosmos.
Did he?
He was there for a bit.
Yeah, proper like character as well, isn't it? So
sure.
Well, how did he do over there?
I think he was. I think he was doing some. I think he was in a management role there.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. But everyone just talked about his personality and stuff like that.
Quality, man. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, man. So take us through that journey at Watford. I think a lot of the listeners who aren't as privileged to be in England and be in this great system, could you just explain to us, how that happens? Like you sign for Watford at 8, and how does that go through? How do they look after you to help you try to sign that pro contract and be a part of their club?
Yeah, so obviously the academy structure is obviously it's developed a lot more now. It starts a lot earlier, like from age of 6 years old. There's academy players now, but when I started, it was you played for your local teams, your Sunday teams, and the academy structure hadn't come in yet. So it's School of Excellence. So you could play for your Sunday team and play for Watford or Chelsea, etc. So at 8 years old, just got scouted playing for my local team, and then they asked you to come down and obviously go for like a little trial period, and then they decide whether they want to sign you or not. So end up signing, and you end up playing games. You still play on with your Sunday team, but you'll have games on a Saturday every now and then with your club team as well. But then, like I said, 11 years old, so under 12s, the full academy structure, how it is now, came in. So you end up training. We was training, I think, twice a week at that point, and then a game every Saturday, and you're playing against all the other academies. So we're playing against Arsenal, Chelsea, Millwall. So you're really being able to test yourself. But obviously from that age, it becomes where you're going from Sunday football, where you're playing with a lot of your friends. It's exciting to obviously you feel a little bit more pressure definitely at those ages. And I ended up signing at 12 years old. I signed a 4-year contract. So I was doing really well at that age. So which there was a few of us as well, and then the big decision at the end of the academy process is under 16s. So they decide whether you're going to be kept on as a scholar or an apprentice. Is probably what they call it now. And even though I'd done so well before that, I had a under 16s, like probably my worst year in football, especially as a youth player as well. I was growing, so I was almost like lost a bit of my technique, my pace and stuff. My confidence had gone down. Just normal things that happen when you're growing and going through puberty, etc. So, but it really affected my football. So I didn't end up getting the scholarship.
Wow.
But they wanted to keep me on in a and they call it like a non-scholar. So you're not officially actually on the book. So you get £70 a week or something as a scholar. Like you didn't get any of the money, etc. But you come in and train every day. So you're essentially like you're on a longer trial period.
Okay, interesting.
Which was a big blow, because that's like at that age it's the big decision.
100%.
So I'm sure there's plenty of kids up and down the country, not even just in this country, who have that, and you think, it's the be all and end all, that decision. If you don't get it, you almost feel like the world's, crumbling around you, thinking, because all I want to do is be a footballer, this decision is massive. So, but it really helped me just refocus, I knew I wanted to be a footballer and give a real crack to it. So
when did you figure that out, that you wanted to be a pro?
I always wanted to be a pro, but I think that decision, reality really hit home of probably where I was at. So it just made, sometimes I would come off the pitch after games and think, I've done all right today. And obviously that it wasn't the case, So I think it just really drove home, if I'm gonna, try and be a footballer, I have to be honest with myself,
100%.
Give it a real good crack every single day. And I just made a conscious decision. That day I'm just gonna not put all my eggs in one basket, but give it a real go. And I remember we had a game the following day, and I played really well. I ended up getting man of the match in loads of games from then to the end of the season. I remember just every day I just thought I can't waste a training session, so I just gave everything 100%. Every day in training, and I ended up getting the scholarship, a little way through the season, which was just a little bit of reward, obviously, for the hard work. But that decision turned out to be one of the best decisions for me personally. Like I said, it just gave me a real was just a real refocus moment, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you must be thankful for that obstacle, that mini failure that happened.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I always, when I speak to academy kids, you know, because like I said, that decision is so big. You think it's the biggest decision ever at that time, which, you know, it kind of is. But, you know, football is, you know, it's a game about opinions, you know.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
one coach, you know, you may be for them, and the next coach, you know, doesn't like you, not gonna. So, but I think just having that self-belief, but like I said, just being honest with yourself, where you're at, and going, you know, these are the things I know I need to work on, and I'm actually going to work on them, actively work on them,
100%.
and just give it a real good go. And yeah, that just helped me develop just the mindset of, like I said, not wasting, you know, training sessions, not wasting days, just trying to make the most of every single day. And over time, you know, that adds up. You know, you don't,
100%.
you know, you're not going to train well every day, but I think the attitude you apply helps you just to keep improving and keep ticking over nicely.
And how old were you at this time? 16?
16.
And obviously, you know, at that age, you know, you're much younger, you don't have the knowledge you have today, but you seem pretty mature. Did you have anyone's guidance or mentorship at that time? Because obviously getting that news is like a dagger in the chest, and then like obviously there's two ways you can go about it. You can either take it and you know, use it as dark side motivation to do what you did, or you can go down like a bad rabbit hole. So like how did you take that on so well?
Yeah, I always had like my mum and dad were massive in you know, in my career, you know, even up to now, but you know, especially at the time, they were my support system. Always had that.
Yeah, love that.
My dad used to take me obviously everywhere around the country, and you know, they essentially lived the journey with you as well. So I remember after getting that decision, you know, when I'm driving home and, you know, I'm crying in the car, I can't speak and that, but I know my dad's feeling that as well, you know. But yeah, they were a great support system for me, and he just wanted me to, I think, prove myself right, and you know, he always had full belief in me anyway.
Love
so so yeah, there was no, you know, I knew I had them to fall back, but then, you know, end of the day, it did lie with me and how I wanted to do it. And like you said there, I know other guys I played with who, you know, did go the other way. You know, maybe they, you know, just thought, you know, this maybe this isn't for me. You know, and they didn't end up playing, or you know, stopped playing at that age, or just fell out the game a little bit later. But for me, I just, like I said, they use it as a bit of fuel, 100%. I think, and that helped. Yeah,
is there anything your dad told you specifically that you remember, or you know, what kind of advice did he give you when you had that news?
He was always like, we will do what you want to do. You know, that was the kind of thing. So if I turned around that day and said, I don't want to play anymore, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have tried to talk me out of it. He would have just supported me in that decision. But you know, I said, obviously, I want to give this a go, and he just backed me from there. So he didn't really have to say anything or do anything. You know, he'd always leave work early to make sure I was getting to training on time, or you know, just giving. He's my harshest critic probably, but obviously my biggest supporter as well. So he didn't really have to do or say anything. You know, he just kept being just that, you know, good bit of support I needed.
Yeah, one thing that you said there that was interesting is, you know, you said that he wanted you to prove yourself right, and then there are different kinds of motivation. I like to rely on dark side, but I think actually the best, you know, motivation to rely on is proving yourself right. At the end of the day, like you said, it's that big decision where you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, like, you know, obviously at that age, you should put all your eggs in one basket. You don't have much to lose, and just give it all. Yeah. And one thing that I've really been, you know, thinking about lately, as I've had, you know, great professionals like yourself on, and, you know, listened to other motivational speakers. I don't know if you heard of David Goggins, but he talks about how life is an endurance sport, but so is football is an endurance sport. Just like, you know, your career, it's all about longevity. Like you said at the beginning, football is an opinion-based game. And I think some young ballers may have a rejection from one coach or two coaches, and they don't realize that next coach might be the one to lead them to their, you know, first pro contract, their first opportunity. And I think at the end of the day, it's all about that persistence, consistency, and longevity, and especially when you have those mini obstacles and those hard times, because it's like you can either choose one decision to use it as, you know, fuel, or use it to take you down the right path. So, obviously with your long career, how have you just consistently maintained, because we spoke before and I'm sure you do, and we'll get into it, but how have you maintained that discipline of keeping that routine that's taking you where you are today?
Yeah, I think just all those things that you mentioned there, like, persistence, consistency. I think having that experience early on, and I think if you speak to anyone who's successful at anything, I think the obstacles are just all part of the journey.
Yep.
Like you said, football it's such an opinion-based sport. The managers' tactics. Some managers have come in and they've just looked straight at me and gone, "Well, you're not going to play centre back for me because you're under 6 foot." Always had those little things to deal with. But like I said, you can either just crack on with it, and like I said, either prove yourself wrong, prove other people wrong, prove yourself right, prove other people wrong, or you can just just go, it's not for me then. But I think rejection in football is such a big thing. You're going to face it. Everyone does. Even the best players in the world have faced rejection somewhere, those obstacles. So developing, I think, just good habits which you can fall back and rely on, things that never change. Because I'm a big believer in just controlling the controllable. So you can't decide whether a manager's going to select you in a team or if they're going to like you or they're going to appreciate you as a player, or all those things you can't control. But what you can control is the way you train, how you train, and your attitude towards training and your attitude towards what you want to do and your profession. And I think if you take real pride in that, more often than not, those little things all add up and allow you to create kind of your own path, even though, like I said, those things are happening around you which you can't control.
100%. Yeah, and one thing you said in there that I think is very well said and underrated is taking every training like you did, one step at a time, like it's almost your last. And there's a common saying, I'm sure you've heard of it, that you never know who's watching, especially like in this country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially for other footballers around the globe, like I think when you get your first injuries and when you get your first setbacks, you realize that you never know, this could be your last training. So the ability to actually take one training at a time and make sure you give 100% in each training, I think is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 37 now, and I probably annoy some of the boys I play with now, and especially like the younger lads. Yeah. Because I only know one way to train and approach it. I just train full throttle all the time, and whether good mood, bad mood, whatever, it doesn't mean I train well all the time. I've had plenty of bad sessions, but I think just the mentality to which I approach it, and that's how I've always been. And to be fair, I always had good pros around me to look up to. Like obviously, I talked about my journey not getting the scholarship. Ashley Young was in my youth team, but 2 years older than me, and the exact same thing happened to him. And I just remember watching the way that he approached every day. Like, he had a laugh and a joke around, but when it was training time, he was he was a killer. Like, he was just he was at it, and then doing the extras that he needed to do, whether it's free kicks or crosses or whatever it was. There was just, he always just had that different look in his eye when he started training. And I really I kind of took that from him, if you know what I mean. And I just think, like I said, you can't waste those days and look back. Some days you don't feel great and you feel like, I just want to just get through the session, but you have to still find a way to get the most out of it that you can. I think.
Yeah, I think what you said there too about Ashley is that he had a laugh and stuff like that, and I think you have to have that balance of, like, obviously having fun, having jokes with the boys and everything, having banter, but when business is business, it's time. Yeah. And I think that's key. Like, you can't be too far one way or too far the other. Like, you can't be too stiff, not cracking jokes and having fun, because that's why we're out there. And then you can't be, over the top, and then you're not focused on the next task.
Yeah, you know what, I think something I've learned as I've gone through my career is, like, everyone's got different personalities, so like I'm quite serious anyway, guys. So probably should lighten up sometimes as well. But I know guys who they perform better when they are just smiling, having fun. It isn't too serious. That's when they'll train better. They need that freedom, and I think it's working out how you perform better. There's no good in being ultra focused, but then you take away your freedom and you're playing with fear. You're playing within yourself. Because at the end of the day, you do want that razor sharp focus, but you still want to have the shackles off, so to speak. And I think some players play great when they're angry. Wayne Rooney, I think he played in that red mist, and you knew he was just he was at it non-stop. And then you got your Hazards, who he couldn't play with that mentality Rooney has. You know what I mean? So I think tapping into how you are as a person, and and bringing your personality, to the pitch every day, and I think is important.
100%. Yeah, and that brings me back to the point. I was just listening to an interview, I think, with on Rio's podcast, where he was talking about Hazard, and he was saying that if he took his football more serious and did the extras, maybe he would be at the next level. But Hazard didn't want to, and he said he could have gone to Saudi and made this money. Yeah. But he was saying that he already made his money, and he doesn't want to, do those extras, because that's not what he's having fun. So that's really interesting. I think it's all about personality type, whether it comes to training, nutrition, how you recover, whether you're going out the night before a game. I mean, I don't advise that, but some guys can do that and play well. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Ronaldinho, I think, used to do that. But I don't think there's too many you can actually do that and perform at the elite level. So I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. But yeah, exactly what you just said there. Tapping into, everyone is so different. Some, there are players out there. I remember Ledley King was obviously injured, or he played with bad knees, and he couldn't train stuff. But it would, be a Rolls Royce every Saturday. But I think there's only certain players who can get away with doing those things. I think for the majority of people, you have to try and train well and put it in. Not everyone's a Hazard. So 100%. And I heard. Kevin Prince Boateng talking about Messi and the way he is. But then he started talking about other players who are good players as well, by the way. They're at Barcelona, but trying to emulate that, and then they're getting injured, they're losing form and stuff. So I think it's important, like I said, to tap into yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself, know how you're going to perform best on a Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, we both know that there are only a few of those players, and I think the guys that the young players need to emulate are the top pros who had the discipline and had the routines and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about Ronaldo, that's evident to see, the way he conducts himself, and he looks like he's enjoying it. I think you always, when you train well and you play well and you win games, you're gonna have a smile on your face, innit? So 100%. You have to try and do all the little things that add up to get you to that place on a Saturday.
Yeah. So like you said, you ended up signing. Did you sign that scholar at 17 or how?
So yeah, I just turned 17. So they ended up giving me the scholarship, and I played 2 years as a scholar at Watford.
And you captained the team at U18.
So I was captain. In the youth cups and stuff as well, which was obviously great for going from pretty much bottom of the pile to wearing the armband was obviously big privilege for me, especially for my home club as well. So and then at 18, then you have another big decision, it's the pro contract decision. And I think because of how the last decision had gone, I just I didn't know what to expect. I just went in there just thinking, this could be anything. And thankfully I did get a pro contract at that age. And then a few months later, that manager got the sack. So I ended up having to, a new manager came in, and he wasn't really having me. So I ended up still getting my pro contract, but then I ended up, I think, start again here, of clean slate, so to speak. Some players who were behind me in the pecking order leapfrogged me, by the next pre-season. So I was thinking, well, I've got to go through this again. But that literally is probably the story of my career. Every pre-season, starting someone, having to leapfrog people that maybe I was playing ahead of the season before, and I don't know, in a weird way, I kind of like the competition.
So how do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with those, with the manager you're not having you? Like, what's your mentality there?
I just, like I said, I've always just tapped in just to the stuff daily, you know. So I just make sure I train well. So I always thought if I'm in the squad, even if I'm, you know, fifth choice, you know, injuries can happen, loss of form can happen, suspension, you could end up playing. Once you're then playing, it's essentially up to you, you know, to try and stay in the team, you know, perform well enough to stay in the team. And so I always thought I just want to be as ready as I can to make sure that happens, and not let myself step away from my own personal standards, you know, because I still wanted to, you know, have a good effect on the team. Like, obviously, you want to play well first and foremost. You want, you know, your teammates to want you to be on the pitch. You know, I still always used to see myself as someone who could help others on the pitch as well. So I always wanted to bring those things. So just bringing that every day. Like I said, you know, not every manager is gonna want to play you. You know, so, and you know, this is, you know, I've seen so many players, you know, way better than me go through similar things like that. I remember there was a season where Cesc Fabregas wasn't starting in the league. Can't remember the manager. Might have been Conte. And I'm pretty sure he was playing. He played a few games in like the reserves and stuff. And
I think I remember that. Yeah.
By the end of the season, he was like one of their best players. You know. And I'm thinking, you know, that's Cesc Fabregas. You know, he's won everything. And you know, still obviously was putting it in the reserve games and stuff. And you know, if players like that can have that mentality, then obviously, you know, little old me, I have to have, you know, I have to be approaching, you know, things like, you know, the way that these top players are.
100%. And I think a lot of that comes down to also, you know, your ability to be humble, you know, and not have that ego where it's like, okay, I deserve this, but it's like you got to prove it to yourself and the coach every single day. And I think, like you said, you know, taking it day by day, training by training is massive.
Yeah, I mean, we don't always get what we feel we deserve, you know. You know, in life and football, and you know, especially you know, in team sports, you know, I think it's very different in individual sports, you know, if it's just you versus someone else. But you know, like we said, when you know, managers are mapping out their teams, they've got visions of how they see certain plays in certain positions. You might not fit that, but that doesn't mean that you can't still get your way in there. You know, and being adaptable to, you know, sometimes you have to, you know, adjust your own game as well to fit into those things. But I feel having just that mentality to do that, you know, will always help.
And I see first team debut in the League Cup against Notts County, August 23rd, 2005. So that was your first taste. How did that go?
Oh, yeah, not too well, to be honest. I played left back in the game. I just think, at that age, I think nerves got the better of me that day. I was just nervous, excited, but ended up just doing stuff I wouldn't usually do in the game. I was getting the ball, trying to dribble all the way up the pitch, and I was just doing stuff that I just probably wouldn't have done. But it was a great, you know, it was a great experience. We won the game. I made a few mistakes in the game, and the manager let me know after. But like I said, it was still just something for me to learn from. You know, that first season as a professional, I didn't play too much. You know, I think I maybe made 5 appearances all season. But just training with the first team, training in that environment every day, I felt I grew up from the start of the season to the end of the season. I made my first league start, last game of the season, before we went into the playoffs. And I remember just thinking, like, I felt ready. You know, I felt ready. I was playing against John Parkin, who is big guy, you know, and I just thought, and I was beating him in the air all day in the game, and you know, had a real good game, kept a clean sheet. And I remember just thinking, I feel ready for first team football for men's football. And I was in a good team, like I said, that you know, was doing well, was in the playoffs. You know, Jay was playing centre half. We had good centre half, Jay Demeritt, Malky Mackay, and Clark Carlisle. So all guys, you know, Malky Mackay, I think that was his 3rd promotion in a row. Jay was smashing it, ended up in the USA national team the following year. So, you know, I had real good players ahead of me, but I felt like I was learning from them and, you know, trying to push them as well.
For sure. What was that standard like going into training every day?
it was brutal, man. It was brutal because it had gone from obviously, you know, kids football, so to speak, kids football, where you can't bully people and that. And I was training against Darius Henderson and Marlon King, and these two were bullies, man. Darius, man, and they, you know, big physical guys. We had Les Ferdinand was there at the time as well. So just training against these guys. And they were obviously just swatting me away beginning of that season. But, you know, they were swatting, you know, experienced pros away in the league. So for me, training with that, it was tough in the beginning, but ended up just loving the challenge. Like, you know, and then obviously I'm picking up things from them. I'm, you know, trying to give it back as you know, as I'm getting it as well. And end up just loving that battle and enjoying it. And I think by the end of the season, I was coming out on top sometimes as well. So I was like, you know, if I can come out on top against these guys who are ripping up the league, you know, I'm not going to fear anyone. I'm going to play on a Saturday, you know. So, that really helped me. But like I said, it was definitely a learning experience because the standard was, you know, it was very, very high.
For sure. And then obviously you guys got promoted to the Prem. What was that, 2006?
2006,
And how was that? How was that experience?
It was great. Great experience. I didn't play in the playoffs, but I was on the bench for all the games. And, unbelievable experience, man. Like I can't, you know, I obviously I wish I'd played a part in it, but it was just amazing. I don't think it could have gone any better. The games themselves and how the boys actually played, and just obviously the whole thing of getting promoted to the Premier League is where you dream of playing and. So to actually be involved in that first team squad, especially my first season as a professional, was unbelievable experience. Yeah,
and obviously, like you said before as well, like obviously you wish you'd be on the pitch, but you obviously contributed to that training environment, so you were definitely part of it. And on the bench, you know, helping guys out, pushing the standard, I think is sometimes underlooked as well, especially as a young player. Like you obviously were part of that.
Yeah, you know, I know, you know, I hear a lot of players, you know, when they say, they feel, you know, they didn't play all the games or didn't play in the cup final, they don't feel part of it. And but, you know, for my first season as a pro, like you said, you know, trying to push the lads, but I think the group that we had was so together, like you couldn't help but feel part of it, if you know what I mean. So, you know, even though, like I said, like I didn't play that much, I was always, you know, on the bench, like traveling with the team and stuff. And like I said, there was a real good togetherness and. So like I did feel part of it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah, great day. Obviously celebrating. It wasn't at Wembley. It was at Cardiff, Cardiff Stadium, Millennium Stadium, and you know, winning 3-0 there. You know, in a playoff final, you can't ask for more.
For sure. Then season turns around. Started as a centre back against Everton. How was that?
Yeah, surreal. Like, cause I said, didn't play much the season before. Worked hard all through the off season. I thought I just want to come back, give myself the best opportunity to, you know, put my best foot forward really. And had some real good games in pre-season. It's funny because we played Inter Milan in a pre-season friendly, and the manager pulled me, you know, before the game, earlier on that day, the evening game, and he just said, we've just signed a centre-half, Big Dan Shitu, great guy. But he was like, you know, we've obviously got now another centre-half on top of the ones I already mentioned. He was like, so we're going to look to send you on loan. I was like, right, obviously, okay, can't really say anything else to that. But ended up coming on at half-time in that Inter Milan game, played really well. And then the following game I started, it was against Chievo. This was the last pre-season friendly. And Jay had just got injured, he rolled his ankle, so... I was mentioning about, you know, obviously injury, suspensions. Manager just about to send me on loan and played in the last game, played really well again, and all of a sudden now I'm starting the first game of the season in Premier League. I'm supposed to go on loan 2 weeks before that, crazy. So obviously starting that first game, it was a bit of a blur. I didn't have a great game. I'll be honest, didn't have a great game. Played against two, you know, experienced strikers, Andy Johnson and Beattie up top, and they were just cleverer than me on that day. Got taken off at half time and didn't see the bench until November after that. So yeah, just another learning experience for me. But that's how cutthroat it was, especially
for sure.
Premier League now as well. You're fighting. Every point matters.
100%. Yeah, and just like you said, whether it's going on loan or not having the best game, like things change so quickly in football.
Yeah.
So like we spoke out from the beginning, that consistency and a routine is huge. So when that opportunity comes, you're ready.
Yeah.
And then I see you got a chance in December as a right back, and then you played the rest of the season as a right back.
Yeah. So hadn't played right back too much before, especially for obviously first team environment. But once again, there was a few injuries, loss of form as well, a couple of players, and ended up getting back on the bench. And then I ended up coming in the team as a right back and doing well. I enjoyed it and pretty much played the rest of the season at right back, which was brilliant for me. But yeah, so I came on Newcastle away, and Damien Duff was at left wing. They had a real strong side they did, and then the game after that was Liverpool at Anfield, and then Arsenal at home. I was thinking, there's a baptism of fire at right back. Ever seen it? But yeah, I loved it, man. I loved it. We was always the underdogs in all those games, and I always felt even more of an underdog. So I was playing out of position at the time, and but I just relished the challenge. And I had some really good games. Had some games where I really didn't perform well at all as well. But at that age, consistency is something that's you're striving for, but it's very hard to keep your level the whole way through it at that age.
How old were you at the time?
I just turned 20, so but like I said, I was just loving the experience.
Yeah.
I was loving
Who was your toughest opponent during that season?
That season, the games we played against Man United were tough. They were really tough. Yeah, we lost I think 4-0 away in the league, and then we played them in the FA Cup semi-final, lost 4-1.
Wow.
And they were bad games, but but Rooney was different beast sometimes. He was playing, Ronaldo was playing.
So did you play one-on-one against Ronaldo?
He came out to my side a few times in the league. He played more on the right, on their right, so against our left back. But in the FA Cup semi-final, he drifted out a few times. Rooney was drifting out there. They kind of just had like a front four and just would rotate positions and stuff like that.
Yeah. What was the difference you noticed in these guys? Compare. Obviously, you're playing in the best league in the world, but Ronaldo and Rooney, top players. What was the difference you noticed in them?
It was, first the physical stature of these guys. From Van der Sar all the way through the team. Like Rio and Vidic, absolute man mountains of both of them. And I think they just all back themselves. Physically and then like technically as well. You give them a yard and the ball's in the top corner. Literally, that's what's happening. So, but then just the hunger and desire as well. They were just relentless, and I think that was the biggest thing I noticed. They just didn't want to let anyone off the hook. It were tough games, but great as a young player to learn from and learn in, great environment to learn in.
Yeah, that age to play against those guys, that team, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So 2007 season comes around, 13 starts. How'd that season go? You guys got relegated that year?
Yeah, got relegated. And this was a real stop-start season for me. So I'd gone from obviously finishing the season as the first choice right back to pretty much being second choice right back for the championship season, which was tough to take, obviously after, doing well the season before. But the team was actually doing really well, especially start of the season. So it was just really hard to get in. So I made a few appearances that season, but it was a season of more frustration than anything, But still tried to train well, etc. But especially at that age, all you want to do is play, especially when you've had a taste of playing. For sure.
And what was your routine at this time? Like, were you doing extras in the gym? Were you doing extras technically? Like, obviously you said, you were the first choice, then you end up second choice. How do you how's your routine structured?
So when I'll be honest, my routine didn't change whether I was playing or not playing. I always tried to just set up those things where I just done. So we was very fortunate. We had really good guys in the gym, good S&C coaches at Watford at the time as well. We had proper Olympic lifting coach as well, so done a little bit of that as well. Loads of plyometrics and stuff. So we had a real good gym program which we'd just stick to religiously. And then the technical stuff, we always had coaches who would coach the under-23s specifically. So sometimes we would do a session before the main training session with the first team, and it was all built on technical stuff, tactical stuff to help you in your game. And we would look over clips of the reserve games you played in. So we'd go through it with one of the coaches, see where I've done well, things I can improve, and then we would actively work on whatever that was. So obviously if I'm playing in the game and I'm not checking my shoulder to see who's running off me and stuff like that, we would set up drills and work on those things. And that, especially that period of from like 18 to 23, you can learn so much. And I think going to the first team environment, sometimes you forget to keep working on the game as how you have been in the youth team, if you know what I mean. So but having those really good coaches to tap into, and you have to want to use them as well. So actively going over and saying, oh, can we do this? Can we look at that? And always just help me. And like I said, I just had those things in place anyway. So that allowed me just to be ready when I did play.
100%. Yeah, and I think one thing that you said that really sticks out, and I try to give the advice to young players all the time, obviously played nowhere near your level, but it's like, it's easy. Let's give an example as a striker. If you're banging in goals and you're starting every match, it's easy to consistently do your extras. Yeah. It's easy to do the gym work, eat right, sleep at the right times, surround yourself with the right people. Yeah. But the hard times are when you're not in the lineup and you're the second choice. Can you still maintain that consistency? Yeah. Because obviously, you and me both know it's all about, like you said before, if someone gets injured, you come on, you have a great game, then you end up starting the next games. And obviously we see here 2008 comes around, you start 45 games in all competitions. So obviously you kept on your routine, consistency, and you got rewarded. Yeah,
and just like you said there, I think when you're, like you said, if you're striking, you're scoring goals, all the extras it's making sense, isn't it? You're thinking, well, I can see the results of what I'm doing. Yeah. Sometimes when you can't see the results straight away, it's hard to keep doing it. And I get it sometimes if you've been left out the team and that your emotions can take back. I'm just not going to do it. I just want to get home or 100%. Whatever. And sometimes you do need that. Sometimes you need to mentally switch off. But I think it's important just to keep on doing those little 1%, those extras. They add up, and when you consistently do them over time, eventually they do, more often than not, they do pay off.
100%. Yeah, I was listening the other day to an interview with Kevin Hart, and he was talking about that, like, the consistency of the work, like it's easy, like you said, to do that hard work and then you see those results. But can you do that hard work and not see results and wake up the next day and still do the hard work again? Yeah. So I think that's huge, man.
Yeah. I think like we know that it's the right thing to do, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, just consistently doing it, and because like I said, eventually it shows. It does show, no matter what those little 1% are, what it is you're working at. It will help in the long run. So just sticking to it that is the hardest thing. Yeah. But if you can learn to enjoy doing those processes, if you can learn to enjoy the gym or doing those extras, and whatever it may be, that always helps.
Yeah, like Goggins says, embrace the suck.
Yeah. He loves it. He loves suffering.
Exactly.
He loves suffering. So he's a great person to tap into and listen to, man. And especially if you listen to one of his podcasts on the day where you don't feel like doing something, I guarantee you end up doing it.
100%. Yeah, man. So obviously great season, and then end up being managed by Brendan Rodgers. How was that?
Yeah, brilliant. I love working with Brendan. It was a short amount of time, but it was his first managerial job, so just got a real insight into what he was about, and obviously he had loads of different ways he wanted to do things, and his philosophy, how he wanted to play. He'd learned a lot from Jose Mourinho at Chelsea, so he brought a lot of that with him, and it was just it was great to see and try and adapt your game into play in a new philosophy. It was brilliant.
100%. Then first senior goal comes against Wolves, January 31st.
Yeah, I think was that the same season? I think it was the same season. Yeah. First got I scored a goal before that, but they didn't give it to me because it hit the post and hit the keeper and went in. But but so first goal, we lost the game. So it was just a little tap in.
Goals are goal.
Yeah, goals are goal, man. Goals are goal. But I was just more focused on just playing and that time trying to keep my spot in the team, and that was my main focus.
That other one they didn't give you. They called an own goal.
Called an own goal, I was thinking the keeper didn't want that, man. Just give it to me. That was a season before as well, man. It was a good header that was, man. Wow.
For sure.
Yeah.
So two-year contract extension. Ends up coming. How'd that come about, and how'd you feel with that?
Yeah, just obviously that was just from playing. So the season you mentioned there, I played 45 games. My contract was running out then, and the manager when he got sacked, it was Eddie Boothroyd. He got sacked, and Malky Mackay came in. I weren't in the team, but then Malky put me straight back in. So he was interim manager, played all the games under him. I think it was 4 or 5 games. Brendan came in and then I just managed to stay in the team. So obviously, if you're having a good run of games and your form's decent, we needed to stay up that year because we were fighting relegation, which we did. So it ended up being a successful season in the end. Obviously, staying up from where we were, even though the year before we was in the playoffs. But that's how things can change quickly in football. But so it was just good just to get that consistency, and then obviously got offered a new deal, which I signed because I just wanted to carry on playing and kick on.
100%. Yeah. So then, second senior goal you have on your 100th pro appearance.
Is it?
That's what I saw in there.
Okay.
So how was that goal? What kind of goal was that?
I can't even remember that goal.
Yeah.
I do remember. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday. Was it against Sheffield Wednesday? It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on TV. That game was. So I scored on TV. Didn't know where I was running in the celebration, but obviously it's always great to score goals. You know what I mean? So I think I might have even been captain that day as well.
I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jay
was hurt. So
Jay had like a real freak injury. So he damaged his eye. I think this was then. He might have been out injured then. Yeah, no, I think this is when he damaged his eye. So he just from a contact, I think a bit of dirt got in his contact and just had like a crazy eye injury. So which kept him out for a little bit of time. But I ended up just obviously he was the club captain. Yeah. Stepped in and wore the armband for the games that he was out, which was a good experience. 22 captain in your boyhood club is was brilliant. And so I was just enjoying playing every week and trying to do well. The makeup of the team had changed so much as well because we went from having a lot of older pros to it was loads of young players and guys who come through the youth team as well because. The club was having to restructure and change, obviously having been relegated from the Premier League, and I was enjoying being kind of taking more of a leadership role as well. Obviously learning from the good pros I had around. Jay and John Eustace were at the club, brilliant older pros to learn from. So just trying to take on a bit more responsibility.
For sure. What were some key takeaways you learned from Jay?
Jay, Jay epitomises the giving everything on the pitch, you know what I mean? Yeah. So and one thing about Jay, he will never give up on anything. He'll never give up on anything. So he's probably the centre half I played with the most, who's made the most last ditch tackles and stuff because he will always he'll just get there. Jay will get there, man. He'll get there, and he's all action, man. And I appreciate it from him because he wasn't the biggest either. So never made any excuses. He would always put his head and his body on the line for the team, and was a real leader as well. And just great personality to play with, great person to play with, especially for a lot of the younger guys as well. You felt like you could talk to him, and he would, give guys the time of day. But then, like I said, he wouldn't be afraid to express his mind as well to you as well, which was good.
For sure. Yeah, and you've talked about it before about managers thinking maybe you're too short as a center back, stuff like that. For listeners, viewers, how do you because that's a myth, especially if you're great tactically and technically. Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with that being a shorter center back, let's say?
I mean, it is a myth. I mean, but I think in England it was very much a reality. You know, there was only a few centre halves under 6 foot that were playing, probably in the Premier League, etc., or especially further down the leagues. But in Europe, you see it all the time. You know, Cannavaro was someone I always looked up to. You know, he was a Ballon d'Or winner, and he's probably a little bit shorter than me, I think. You see, like in Italy and Spain, that was never considered. You know, I think if you can defend and you can read the game and you can do the job, you know, you're big enough. But in England, it definitely was a big factor, you know, and because the game was played so much in the air, etc. I think it's changed now, and you see in centre halves, you know, Martinez at Man United, he's shorter than me, and he's playing for United. So I think it has changed, and but at the time, it was an obstacle that you had to. But I used to love it. I used to get targeted. You know, I knew the goal kick was coming on my head. The biggest player was, but I just enjoyed jumping over them and winning the ball, and always had a good leap. So I just used to use that, and had to work on my timing, and using, you know, a few other little tricks of the trade as well to, you know, to be able to cope with that. But I always loved that challenge.
100%. So if you're playing against a forward who's, you said you're winning most aerial balls, but if he is winning more balls than you're just looking for the second ball, how you deal with that? Yeah,
so the first thing I would do is probably bring one of the centre midfielders to get on his toes. So he then can't, you know, have his run on the ball or you know, chest the ball down. And that allows me then to get my run, and he'd end up having to compete with the midfielder as well. So that would be one of the first things. Obviously, squeezing up the line, the defensive line a little bit as well helps, because you know, they're not able to then just bring the ball down in their chest. But yeah, definitely getting you know, just using a midfielder to sometimes you know, you need that. You know, like you said, you're going to come up against players, however good you are in the air, who might be better than you, you know, and might be dominating you. Especially, you know, I remember playing against Drogba. It was like you weren't going to win any headers. He was chesting everything down. So you have to use, you know. You have to be smart as a team, you know, to combat players like that.
Who was the toughest striker you ever played against?
The one who's probably given me the hardest time was Suarez, I'd say.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, at Liverpool when they were going for the title, Suarez and Sturridge up top were a menace, man.
Just his movement,
just everything about him. You know, the intensity which he played at. I remember it just was, you know, he would, you know, just hunt you down to get the ball off you, you know, defending, but then get the ball, and he's just going straight for goal as fast as he can. You know, it's low centre of gravity, like really good at dribbling. You just knew obviously his finishing was so good. So just the real, you know, it always not surprised me, but I used to just love those top players. Like I said, the intensity and the aggression which they played with. Yeah, it's brilliant. They were, you know, because they probably could have just like coasted through the game, having a nice easy game, but now you know, he wanted goals and he wanted them now. He's tough to play against, man. Real tough.
Yeah, man. So take us into the 2010-2011 season. You end up being the club's vice captain. How did that season go?
I'm trying to think now. We're going so far back. I think I had another season where I think I played every game that season.
I see here you had a run of 113 consecutive league appearances until you had a suspension against Middlesbrough.
So, and this is just going back to what, you know, we were saying before, you know, so I was out of favour with one manager, so I was obviously out of the team, I was out of contract, manager changes, and then I ended up going on a run of 113 consecutive games, you know, and that's literally, you know, like I said, just opinions in football. I was just loving playing, you know, week in, week out, and you know, there's nothing better. And I think that's the first season where I thought I started to excel as a player, you know. And, you know, I really.
How old were you at the time?
I was 24. I was 24. So 23, 24, and I felt like I'm really, you know, getting to grips with the league and how I am as a player, what I'm good at, and just started, you know, just really just enjoying my football, was going into every game, just really looking forward to it.
And from there, I saw, you know, you started to have a lot of bids from other Prem clubs. So you rejected a move from Wigan, also rejected from Newcastle, 3 bids. Yeah, how was that?
That was crazy. So I think that was the season after. That was crazy, to be honest with you, because up to that point, it was all, it was always the strikers who were moving or had the interest in that. So it obviously lets you know you're doing something right. The Newcastle one was a mad one because they were going for the Champions League in that season. They were right up there in the Premier League. I was thinking, they could be playing Champions League football next year. And, so that was a crazy one. Obviously they put in bids, but the Watford never accepted any of them and accepted one from Wigan. They were bottom of the league at that time. But in the end, I decided not to go because there was so much back and forward that whole month. And I remember we had a game that evening. We was playing Millwall, and obviously I'm on the phone to my agent, and I think the manager, I think he was in the room next door to me, and he's on the phone now. Obviously the club are trying to. Obviously the club have accepted bids for me and stuff. I was sitting on the coach. We was all on the coach on the way to Millwall. Sky Sports is on, and it just came up at the bottom. Watford have accepted bid for Adrian Mariappa. So I felt everyone on the coach just turn around and look at me, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? I just was on the phone to my agent, and I just said, look, I'm not going anywhere. So I'm staying to the end of the season. I'm just going to focus on playing the game, and I didn't want it to. If I was going to leave Watford, I didn't want it to be like a rushed, last day of the transfer window thing. I always felt like it should just be something that was, where the club were like, okay, look, we're going to let you go to a Premier League club, and you can kind of shake hands and move on in a positive way. And I just didn't want it to be just last day of the transfer window thing. So I was like, I'm going to just stay and play, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed the rest of that season. Playing under Sean Dyche.
And you were voted. Was it that season the Watford Player of the Season?
Yeah, I got Player of the Season. I think just going back to what I was saying, the season before, that's when I really felt like I'm coming into my own now, and starting to excel and do well. And obviously went on to have another good year as well, and got voted Fans Player of the Year, which was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then from there you made a move to Reading. Yeah,
so that was something. It was spoke about kind of all summer. I knew that it was going to happen. The club, I think, knew it was going to happen. The club just got taken over then as well by the Pozzo family, so there was a lot of change happening at the club. But I thought it's a good time for me to go and try and give the Premier League another crack. I felt ready to do it. Like I said, I was in good form, and just wanted to really just go and attack it.
For sure. And how did that go? 29 appearances in the Prem.
We got relegated. That's how that went. But I thoroughly loved my time at Reading. It was a good club. It felt like a club very similar to Watford, where they're just good people at the club. The fans are really good. Everyone was great with me there, and I enjoyed playing there. The season didn't go the way obviously we'd wanted it to, but that's football. But even still, I felt like I acquitted myself well. I felt like I could, do it at that level. So I gained a lot of confidence, even though we did get relegated. It still was a good learning period. But I enjoyed playing in the Premier League.
And then from there, you make a move to Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
and they were just promoted, huh?
Just promoted, yeah. So. I came back to pre-season at Reading, and same thing we mentioned before. Managers and opinions. I went from starting nearly all the games in the Premier League season before to being fourth choice. And even though I was playing with the same centre halves as I was the season before, so I went to fourth choice, and I got a call one day from the director of football just saying, we've accepted a bid from Crystal Palace for you. So I think, look, back in the Premier League. You know, the club were obviously happy to let me go, and I was thinking, you know, if I'm, you know, especially if I'm not going to be playing this year, you know, it seemed like a great time for me to move, and yeah, it was at the time it was a great move for me, and one I thoroughly enjoyed.
And how did you enjoy your time at Crystal Palace?
Loved it. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Like, great club, brilliant fans. Like the way that stadium was rocking that first season. Oh man, it was something else. I tell you, like, it was. It just, I remember a few of the big teams came and got some good results against them, but you always just felt like that could happen. I just felt the atmosphere just intimidated a lot of teams, especially when we started getting on top, or if they were on top and their lead was slipping, you could just feel that momentum shift, and the whole crowd was, man. That first season of Premier was, it was wicked, man.
Wow.
Yeah, wicked.
Were you playing centre back over there?
I was playing, so I went there as a centre back.
Okay.
I went there as a centre back. Due to injuries, I ended up playing my first appearance at right back. Went back to centre half, and then Tony Pulis came in straight away, and we didn't ever have a conversation about centre back. I knew if I'm playing, it's going to be right back. That was it, because I don't think he's ever had a centre half under 6 foot.
Okay, wow.
I'm going to go out on a whim here and say I don't think he's ever. But I learned so much when Tony Pulis coming in. Yeah, he was good manager. Like, we had Ian Holloway, who bought me. Wanted to play total football. You know, just loved having the ball. Great energy as a manager. And then Tony Pulis comes in, and they were like polar opposites in terms of their philosophies and stuff. But I enjoyed playing for both of them. Like Tony Pulis, I learned so much, especially the defensive part of the game. I think, he was like a defensive genius. Like,
what were some key takeaways you got from him?
In the way that he wanted set up to defend.
Yeah. It
was just his attention to detail, I think. And he had certain philosophies in certain parts of the pitch that just wouldn't change, you know, and I think identifying that, because the way to attack, and you know, the way that we play forward, it changes all the time, doesn't it? Like, there's, you know, whether it's the systems or the type of players, type of roles, but I feel the defensive principles, like, they don't ever change, do they? Unless there's like big rule changes in the game. The way you defend is the same, and he was just, you know, really reiterated all the ways that he wanted to defend, and just hammered that home every day, and to the point there was just no grey areas. You know, it was just black and white. You knew what he was doing every part of the pitch, when this happened, when that happened, and we just ended up becoming like, you know, we knew if we got ahead in the game, we could defend that lead. But we, you know, even though he has a reputation of not playing, you know, really attractive football, like we had Shamak up front, who isn't your typical massive number 9. He was quite, you know, he used to drop in the pockets and play, and we had like really good wingers. So you know, we had Jason Punchin and Yannick Balassi, and you know, Jerome Thomas. These guys were ripping it down the wing. So I know our games were really exciting to watch and stuff, you know, and it was enjoyable to play in. You know, everyone bought into the way he wanted to play, and like I said, it was just, you know, really enjoyable. We ended up staying up comfortably, which is something that he said we would do, and we done it. And then we had a big say in the title, you know, in the title decidings as well, you know, against some of the big teams, which was good as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So for you as a player, like, do you like, you know, because I was speaking as well when I was speaking to Jack, obviously difference between, you know, Bielsa and other managers, like, you would go out to match day, you know exactly what he wants. Like you said, no gray area. Yeah. Do you prefer that, like that black and white approach where it's like, you know what you're doing, or would you rather more of the gray area?
I like the black and white. I like black and white. I like to ask the questions as well. If there are grey areas, I will ask the coach, or, you know, one of the coaching staff. Well, in this situation, how you know, how do you want it done, kind of thing. And I accept, obviously, football's not black and white. Things do change within that, but I think it's important to have that framework and understanding, so we're all on the same page. And then obviously, especially when you're defending, there's going to be times where you need to emergency defend and last ditch tackles, and you know, the left back falls over, so you're going to have to adjust, you know. I feel like having just those, you know, principles, you know, in and out of possession, I think just, you know, it helps. And the the best managers I've played under, I would say really, tap into those details as much as they can.
Yeah, it just leaves no questions,
Yeah, I think obviously there's certain places on the pitch and certain players who need more freedom in certain situations, you know what I mean? So, but I feel like having a good framework allows for that freedom as well.
100%. So then, 2016, make a move, return back to Watford.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you feel about that? Spent 4 more years there.
Yeah, so that was. I didn't play, as much as I wanted to the last season at Crystal Palace, and I remember just speaking to the manager. He said, I went to speak to him, and he mentioned about, signing a new deal there, kind of thing. But I knew I was just a squad player that wasn't playing anywhere near as much as I wanted to play. So I was happy to leave, but. Which was disappointing because, like I said, I really liked my time at Crystal Palace, but I just wanted to play. I was, in the the prime years of my career, and I thought I don't want to waste waste that time. So I spent pretty much all of the summer training by myself and with a couple of coaches I know as well. So and then ended up got the call from Watford, and that was I had an interest from a couple of other clubs as well. And offers from them, but as soon as the Watford one came on the table, I was like, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
It's home, man.
It is home, man. It's home. Even though it changed so much since when I left and I came back, but it changed in a positive way, I would say.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. And what type of things are you doing alone? Because obviously, guy at your level played at these top clubs. A lot of listeners and viewers might think, you're and it is tough to do that training alone, but how are you doing that training alone and like kind of trying to simulate those game realistic situations?
Yeah, I think it's important to speak to people who know what they're doing. There's experts in the field, and that's for me. I never try to. We can all of us think we know best, isn't it? But I try and rely on people who actually know what they're doing. So. I will use, there's an S&C coach, Matt Springham, who I worked with him at Watford before, and he's someone I just, every summer, me and him will work together in the off season, and the times when I've been out of contract, he's pretty much, handled everything. So we'll track my data, etc. as well, so we know how much load I need to be doing. How much sprint work I need to be doing, how many accels, details. These are things that I wouldn't normally think of. I would just make sure I train until I'm tired, probably. Do you know what I mean? So, or make sure I've just, but sometimes you can push yourself too much. You don't want to, you don't want to get injured, especially if you are out of contract. So I think, like I said, using someone who knows what they're doing and tapping into their knowledge to help you is probably the key thing in 100%. That situation, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like you said, you can just follow something. You could follow that blueprint, and you just can focus on executing the work, and you don't have to do the thinking. That's the most important part.
Exactly, yeah. And you can. I know some people just like to be told what they're doing, and I'll just do that. Yeah. I always like to know why I'm doing it as well.
Sure.
So I'll ask why are we doing that?
Yeah.
And, so you then can have an understanding. You can have input into it as well in the end as well. But just. Getting that feedback, even to now, like after every game, I'll always ask for the match stats, because I just like knowing,
100%.
How my body's feeling, and why is it feeling like that,
exactly,
and what I need to do, for the next day or next 2 days, etc. It just helps you have a better understanding. So just making sure, trying to use people that know what they do is 100%. The best thing.
Yeah, like you said, and I always refer back to it. I think it was a German philosopher said, Franz Kafka, when you know the why, the how becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
And I think all players need to know that, no matter what level. Like, you need to get a little bit of that information, because then that motivation to do it becomes more.
Yeah. Agreed. And to be fair, like I know, especially the times when I have been out of contract and I've gone straight into a club, I've then ended up playing within few days, or I've never needed that. Sometimes they say, you need a mini pre-season. I've never needed it. Needed it, and that's how I know what I've been doing away from. Obviously, you don't have the complete match sharpness because you haven't played any proper games, but my actual my fitness and how my body will cope with the load and the demand is obviously is where it needs to be, because I can then just go into playing not so long after signing for whatever club it is. So
yeah, 100%.
I know that's definitely gave me a bit of peace of mind that I know I'm doing the right thing by, like I said, using experts.
Yeah, and like you said from the beginning of the conversation, all those little things just add up.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And don't discount those little 1%. Sometimes you think they're insignificant, but like I said, they add up. They add up.
100%. So 250th Watford start against West Brom, 2018, and you won man of the match. So I mean, take us through those next 4 years at Watford, 2016 to 2020.
Yeah, great years, man. Great years. But I started. I think I was 6th choice centre half. We played 3 at the back, and it was tough to get in the side. I think I made my first league appearance in March, and I'd signed in the last day of the transfer window, which was September or August, whatever it was. So that was, in that situation again of, just grinding every day and just trying to get the opportunity, wait for the opportunity, and when it comes, trying to take it. And so that season I came on. There was a few injuries, and then someone got red carded in the game, came on, played well, ended up playing the next game, and then the following game got man of the match. Man of the match, clean sheet, got dropped the next game. But then ended up coming back in the team after that and played the rest of the season. But it's always, I just think it's one of them, just having that mentality from my past experiences just allowed me just to dial in and focus in. And I know, some players just probably would have just gone, whatever, and not done the work and stuff, but I just thought, no, I can change this, I can turn it around, I can get in there, and when I get in, I want to stay in, and thankfully that's what happened. So the next few years were brilliant. I had, after that first season, probably my 2 best seasons.
How old were you at the time?
I was, the first season I went back, I think I was 29, about to turn 30, so I was 30. Then at 31 and 32, I probably had my best 2 seasons at Watford. The third season, we ended up getting to the FA Cup final that year, which was a great run. And we had a good run in the league. We tapered off in the end after getting to the FA Cup final, which was disappointing because we had a chance of finishing in the European spots as well.
Wow.
But it was a good year.
Who'd you play in the cup final?
Man City, unfortunately.
Wow.
I had some bad days against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat us 6-0. But they were just...
I think I remember that,
That's it. They done the domestic treble, I think, that year.
Yeah.
And they were just on fire that day. So we could have gone 1-0 up. Maxi Pereira went through 1-on-1, and Edison made a really good save. And then just after that, they just turned it on. Went up a few gears, and it was a disappointing day. I think the way as well that we lost as well. But listen, it was a great run to get there in the first place.
Who was the best player on that day for City, you think?
That's a hard one to say. I couldn't even tell you who the best player that day was. They were all just they were at it. All of them,
just on it.
All of them, So it was a tough day. It was a tough loss. I know it sticks hard in the memories of the Watford fans as well. But the semi-final was probably bigger of a highlight than that final, to be honest. We 2-0 down, came back and won. And
who'd you play there?
we played Wolves. So we're 2-0 down. I think 77th minute we scored our first goal, and then in injury time, Troy scores a penalty and then takes it to extra time, and then Jared Deulofeu scores in extra time to win, which was so obviously going from we're nearly out here to getting to the final was a great day.
Incredible, man. And 2020, make a move to Bristol City.
Yeah, so my final year at Watford, we got relegated, unfortunately, and then that was a COVID year, so it was obviously it was just tough all round, wasn't it? And football was a strange place at that time.
Exactly.
Mostly feeling the effects of all the different things happening in the world, and playing with no fans, and I think we really struggled without the fact we were a team that needed our fans as well. So we struggled, got relegated, and and then I left Watford probably unexpectedly, but happened, and then ended up signing for Bristol City. But yeah, it was it was a strange time because I didn't play a single game with any fans at Bristol City, which is disappointing.
What was the difference there, just for viewers and listeners? What's the difference that you feel there?
Fans, it's like playing. It's hard to explain, but like obviously you played in games where there's no fans in the stadium. It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. Like you can't. I think
just doesn't feel like real. You know?
So it's the emotion. It feels like a pre-season friendly. You know, and like the emotion is taken out of it, and you know I love playing in front of fans, like 100%. Whether it's away fans and you're just getting booed all game, like, but the emotion of the game, like I think you need it. And some players I think need that and play better, and some players like having an empty stadium because they feel like it's less pressure, less eyes on them and stuff like that. But so playing without the fans was, I'd never want to go back to that ever again. Yeah, it's horrible.
So yeah, man, after Bristol you make a move to Australia, MacArthur.
Yeah.
How was that?
So that was, so going from never even having to move house to moving the other side of the world was, it was probably an experience only football can give you. You know, couldn't buy that. So I got the call just to see if I fancy doing it, and I was like, let's go for it. And so MacArthur Balls is in Sydney. So I lived in Sydney, and
nice. Great vibe over there, huh?
It was great. But it was COVID time as well, just kind of getting out of COVID. But it was a great experience. Obviously playing in a new league, so far away from what I knew as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, good people. And I enjoyed the league as well. Like, to be honest with you, like obviously it gets, especially over here, we tend to just think like England's the be all and end all of football, and obviously it's where the big TV broadcasters are and all the best players want to come here. But people are still passionate everywhere else in the world about football, and so it was important for me just to keep open-minded. I enjoyed the football out there. Had my best goal scoring season ever.
I see, 3 goals. 3 goals.
And do you know what? I
brought that number 7 shirt back.
I should have had a few more as well, man. I should have had a few more, man. But I was loving
what position were you playing?
I was playing centre back.
Wow.
Yes, I was playing centre back.
A lot of goals on free kicks.
Yeah, so just set pieces, and I was just getting on the end of everything. I think obviously coming from a league that prides itself on set pieces and aerial ability and stuff, I think gave me a little bit of an advantage, I think, because a lot of teams in the A-League as well obviously adopt probably a more European style of football, trying to play out, etc. And those game models. So on set pieces, man, I felt so dangerous, and it was wicked.
So what would you say the main difference between let's say the Prem and the A-League is?
I mean, the A-League is so new compared to the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So obviously the biggest thing in England is football's the number 1 sport in the country. All the kids want to play. Australia's not. That's not the case. They've got Aussie rules over there, and rugby, cricket. These are all massive sports, and especially rugby and Aussie rules. All the best athletes probably try and go into those sports.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the US.
Exactly. So football's fighting. You're already at a disadvantage from the get-go. Do you know what I mean? So so those leagues, I think it's going to take time to grow, but I think Australia do so well. If you look how well that the national team does, and obviously like they make World Cups, and how well their players actually do. They end up going Europe and having really good careers and stuff. It's a testament to them, especially like I said, the States no different. I know they've put a lot of money into their grassroots football as well, and obviously they're starting to reap the dividends of that now with their national team, and I think they're obviously gonna keep growing and going in that direction. So I think there's a lot of similarities in the MLS and the A-League.
Interesting.
The A-League probably a lesser version because I just probably because it's so far, and the league isn't as big as the MLS. So obviously they've got massive franchises over there, and they see the real value in it as well, and their broadcasting is massive deals as well over there. So, but I think there's good scope for the A-League if they try and follow that business model and go in that direction.
For sure. I don't know if you've seen, but there's been a lot of American investment in the football here.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's happening?
I just think, obviously, they see the value in it, and they see the value in it. I think being able to take a club and grow the club, and I think they see where they can bring. Yeah. Obviously the massive sporting franchises in America, they see that they can, bring some of that to a club 100%. Over here and make it marketable and make it a global brand. Look at what they've done at Wrexham. Obviously, is the big one, but they made it a global brand, and obviously that club's probably gone up in they're worth so much. So obviously there's a bit of that, the competitive nature of the leagues in England. I think people probably coming over to have a bit of that as well. There's no relegation stuff in the US sports,
which we're missing.
Yeah, listen, promotion and relegation is one of the, it's
what makes football.
Exactly, man, exactly. Yeah. If they've done it, the thing is, would people invest as much in those, say, Miami FC, if they knew the next year we could be relegated?
But it's part of the risk, though, isn't it?
It is. And it is part of the, like I say, you have to, you can't take your finger off the trigger for 1 second, For sure. So, it's two totally different models in it. But I think obviously some, these the American owners and investors are seeing the worth, in getting involved in football in England.
100%. Yeah, I saw one of my best buddies was playing top league in Israel for many years, at some of the biggest clubs. And fans there are absolutely insane as well. And then he went back to MLS for a trial, and he was at Sporting KC, which is a pretty big club. Yeah. And I was like, "What's the training intensity compared to Israel?" And he was like, "Dude, it's absolutely terrible." Yeah. I'm like, "Why?" Because of the promotion relegation. He's like, "Guys, just take it easy here. They know they have their spot." Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I did see that slightly in the A-League as well. So yeah, I think just because, like you said there.
They don't have promotion relegation there either, do they?
Not yet, but I think they're bringing it in. I think they're going to bring it in, yeah. So I'm pretty sure they've announced that they're going to bring it in. But it is quite similar, There's almost that the season starts and everyone starts quite slow, and then there's that big push at the end to try and make the playoffs to go and win something, And whereas here it's like you're hammer and tongs from the get-go. One, you don't want to get relegated, and two, if you're trying to get promotion, you want to obviously get off to a good run as early as you can, because it all matters. So
100%.
So yeah, it's interesting you say that about the MLS.
Yeah, and then also another one yesterday. Speaking to one of my buddies, and he was playing for a team in the U.S. leagues called NISA, and they were top of the league. His team, undefeated, on great runs. And then I just checked the other day on Instagram, and I saw one of the teams that was the worst team in the league, they won the championship. I'm like, come on, now. That's not football, man. Come on now. They were sixth in the league, and then they ended up winning the thing.
I'll tell you one thing I do like about the MLS. So if you're terrible 1 year, that you get the drafts, and you can try and even it out, you know what I mean? So one year you could have a stinker, but then the next year you could be battling for something. I looked at Cincinnati, they were, for the last few years, obviously were struggling, and now I don't know how they've done, but 100%. I'm pretty sure they finished top of their conference, didn't they? So, that is one of the good things, but then obviously some teams probably just, if you're going to have a bad season, just totally chuck it, so you get the better picks as well.
For sure. Yeah, man. So let's dive back into your career. Back to England, Burton Albion. How'd that stint go?
So that I really enjoyed my time there. It was a good club. A club that was definitely, I'd say, punching above its weight. But yeah, good people there. So I signed there just after international break, and I signed there. I think it was October. And I was there until Jan. They offered me to the end of the season, but I decided not to take it at the time. It wasn't right. But obviously getting back into English football, you know, it was good. Had some good away days there. Some good days in general there, to be fair. Played against Peterborough away. That was my first game back in English football, which was good atmosphere there. Sheffield Wednesday away. That was another good one. Obviously, a club that was so like massive, especially to be in League One. So that was a good day as well. Scored another goal that year as well.
Wow, okay.
98th minute equaliser. So yeah, that was good. It was a good time there, and like I said, some top people.
Now at Salford City.
Yeah, so back end of last season, I ended up signing for Salford. They wanted to sign me in Jan. I didn't go in Jan, but then had the opportunity again in March, and you know, I went for it. It was for the run-in for the playoffs, which we ended up making. And then we was so close to Wembley, man. We were so close to getting there. So we won the first leg of the playoffs 1-0 at home to Stockport, and then the away game it went to extra time. We lost in the 90 minutes 1-0. Went to extra time, scored, and I think it was the 27th minute out of the 30 or something like that, and then literally conceded straight away from a throw in which both his feet were on the pitch, so it should have been disallowed, but it weren't. And then went to penalty shootout. I missed the second pen. I missed the second pen, and that was the end of our playoff run. But real enjoyable time at the end of that year. Finishing disappointment, but some real good players, and obviously re-signed at the end of the season again for this year, and I'm still going at it.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Been an unbelievable conversation. Really appreciate you coming on. I think if we could just give a practical view, because obviously 18 years, these top levels, like what's your day in life looking like? You know, what time are you waking up? What time are you eating breakfast? What are you having for breakfast? Just some detail, you know, any of the extras you're doing, just to give that practical advice for viewers to try to take some of that and implement it into their own routine. Yeah,
I think I'll just keep it as simple as possible. I've got family as well, so that's very much part of my routine as well. So my week obviously changes depending on the games, but so if I'm at home and I can do the school run, I love doing the school run, and then if I've got a day off, I'll do school run, go to the gym, and do either if I've had a game on the weekend, I'll do either like some recovery work or do a bit of injury prevention work to just keep the body ticking over and moving nicely. If on my training days, I will always make sure I have breakfast. I don't like to eat too much. I try and eat quite light before training, but I'll have like either like cereals or toast with something on, so like avocado on toast or something like that. And you
are a vegan as well, huh?
I'm plant-based. So that took me years to get to that point, but it's something that's worked for me, so I try and I still try and eat as clean as I can. That's pretty much
for sure.
Lots of water, lots of electrolytes. One of the biggest thing I think is probably overlooked is sleep. I try and sleep, 7 to 8 hours a day. Obviously, it's hard if you got kids and stuff at home, but I try and get it in. I think it's one of the biggest things for recovery.
100%.
Making sure you eat breakfast, protein with all your meals, and like getting enough rest, sunlight. I try and do like cold exposure if I can, so like cold showers in the morning, or if you can get an ice bath. I struggle in ice baths, but I still try and get in them, or cryo chambers if you can, if you've got that availability. And the other stuff is just make sure you get in good routine. So I'll try and do gym before training, obviously then train. Then we might have team gym after training, and then it's just about fueling and recovering. So you're always doing one of the two, fueling for your training session or recovering after the session, and just kind of repeating those cycles again. And I think I like to, especially obviously I've got kids and that, so it can be chaotic, but trying to keep my routine as simple as I can, so you can manage the chaos around, and it doesn't try not to change too much, day to day is how I like to keep it.
100%. And I think that's how it always is. It's like, we see, and that's the main reason I have this podcast. I like to dive into the real life, because we see on Instagram all the, the sexy routines and all that, but at the end of the day, it's just the basics done right consistently.
Exactly. Yeah,
for sure.
It's the hardest thing sometimes to do, but it's the most effective.
100%. I forgot to dive into the international career. We got to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Sorry we're holding you for long.
No.
Take us into Jamaica a little bit. Obviously, you said you played Argentina before the World Cup.
Yeah, that was a great experience. It was a friendly, but so that was in September in New York, your hometown, and so we played there. Played them. That was our last friendly game before the World Cup. So packed house, just full of Argentinian fans, and Messi weren't starting. He weren't starting. Okay. So, but we were 1-0 down, but we was in the game. Like we was doing well, we was defending well, and then about 60th minute goes, and you just hear this loud cheer. Messi's gone to warm up. So like, remember I was like, I think I was feeling, I stretched for something. I was feeling my hamstring. I thought, now Messi's coming on. I can't come off. And then 5 minutes later, he came on the pitch, and the game was pretty even. Like, they were dominating the game, but weren't creating too many chances. He came on and just changed the game. The game it was a different game that he was playing. So he comes on, and you can feel him just scanning the pitch. He's standing offside, just looking around, and then he just like explodes into action. I think he scored 2 goals when he came on. Just picked up one on there's one. He's picked up the second ball. He's just had a touch, it's bobbled up, and he just hit the ball early on the half volley, just caught our keeper off guard, like outside the box, bottom corner. And then the second goal, he was just dribbling across, like through everyone. I thought, he's coming to me next. He's going this way, he's gone the other way, so I had to foul him, and he just hits the free kick in the bottom corner, and he goes and celebrates. You're thinking, he's just next level, this guy. And then obviously he went to the World Cup and done what he done.
Best player you ever played against?
Yeah, I think for me he's the GOAT for me. He's the GOAT for me. So it was a good experience. Obviously, he done what he done. Finished us off, but some player, man. Great.
Obviously, there's tons of arguments. Difference between him and Ronaldo. Obviously, you played up against both guys. You're on the pitch. What do you think is the difference there?
You see, like, I love Ronaldo as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love them
you
both.
Respect both.
Exactly. I can appreciate both of them. For me, I think Messi is I think he's the GOAT. Simple as that. Yeah. But listen, there's a case for both. There's a case for both, and like I said, I can only just sit back and respect and appreciate both of them, because the level that them two have played at. For how long they, we talked about longevity and consistency. The numbers that they put up make some real top players that have played the game, like, it makes their career, you would look and just think, well, he hasn't done anything because of the numbers that they've done, which is just like freakish numbers which they're putting up. But the way that we've been allowed to enjoy both of these at the same time is it's probably never going to happen again. Probably never going to happen again. 100%. So just enjoy it.
Yeah, love it, bro. Love it, man. Yeah. Just coming towards the end, just a couple quick fire questions. Best manager you ever played under? Tough one.
I knew this was gonna happen. It's a hard one for me. I mean, I said obviously I had my best couple of seasons at Watford, and it was under Javi Gracia. I had a real great time under him. But I've played under some real good managers who had great times under as well. Marco Silva, Brendan Rodgers, Sean Dyche, Malky Mackay he made me captain when I was like vice captain at a young age as well, and so it's hard for me. Tony Pulis. Even the managers who didn't select me in that, I'm thankful that I had those experiences.
For sure.
But if I'm going to pick one, especially for my time under him, Javi Gracia.
Love it, man. Favorite cheat meal if you're not on your diet?
Probably pizza.
Love that.
Yeah.
Did you try it in New York?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. See, I need to find somewhere with vegan cheese. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
You know you're gonna miss out on the bacon, egg, and cheese in New York. You might have to tell the vegans you want to chill. Best thing, man. You ever go back, you need to try it.
Oh, okay.
Favorite destination you ever been travel wise?
I love Jamaica.
I gotta go there.
Yeah,
Gotta go there.
beautiful place.
Yeah.
Antigua's beautiful.
Yeah, I heard.
I like Dubai as well. I'm gonna put probably this is the hard one. This one. I'll stick with Jamaica.
Yeah.
Antigua's closer.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful place. Lovely time there.
Yeah. Dream destination where you want to go next?
Fiji's where I want to go. My dad's born in Fiji, so haven't had a chance to go. So Fiji.
Yeah. I mean, their water is high level.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. Been an unbelievable conversation. Appreciate you taking the time. Really do. I know you're a family man. Any last tips you want to give for the younger footballers, or anything you want to leave off with?
Yeah, just for the young players, just enjoy playing. 100%. Enjoy playing. Play as much as you can, and play with a smile on your face. I think that's the biggest thing, and enjoy it. That is the thing, and just enjoy every day that you get to play.
100%. Adrian Mariappa, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.